Alright, it's working again.
Yes, indeed, man.
What's up? I'm Jared, by the way.
I am Josh. It's good to be here, man.
Still 4th of July weekend-ish.
Yeah,
So-
adjacent.
Hope you had a good one.
I thought every day since Thursday was Saturday, so the fact that it's not Saturday anymore, it might as well still be, so we're good, man.
Yes. I did my usual 4th of July tradition. Went down, did the peach tree, and had fun doing that.
Yeah.
I was nervous going into it just because I was just like not used to getting these little text alerts from the Atlanta Track Club. Honest to God, I might still even have it in my phone. There was one that went out. The roadways was Thursday, but midday Wednesday you get like this text. It was like, "Do not go for a personal best tomorrow.
Yeah, I can see that.
You probably gonna die."
For real.
And it wasn't terrible. I remember I felt it hotter. But it's kind of trippy to be out there on the course and you kind of see the color coding go from yellow to red. You're like, oh damn.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That might be bad. And that's the good part of it too, is where it starts in Buckhead. You just don't realize how much of that roadway is shaded.
Okay.
So didn't really feel it until you got into downtown, and you ain't nowhere near the end once you get into downtown, like people try to tell you are. But
those liars try to tell you
those
are.
lying liars that walking back up with their t-shirt like, you're almost there. Like, shut up.
You're wrong.
You're a liar. Even when you make the turn at the Federal Reserve going down into Piedmont Park, like you still got a ways to go. Don't think you were there, because you ain't there.
For real. Oh, it's the city. I've done all.
No. But did that, had fun, and yeah, I just didn't get the alert system that was going out. Like, y'all, it's been pretty hot the past couple of them, so it's gonna be all right. But it's the 50th anniversary, and I think going into it, and I hate being that person that always does this, but my instant reaction to the shirt is always kind of like, oh, that's it. I went in with this expecting more, I guess, and they did the whole, you get there, and honest to God, I saw, and I did that thing that I usually do, is I see the shirts walking back up the other side of the street, and I'm like, please tell me that's not it. Please tell me that's not it. But it was pretty, it's one of the most boring ones they've ever done.
It's like a Kevin Owens style 5-0. That's
yeah,
it.
It's literally, and the tradition has begun. I'm not sure when they started doing this, but there's a shirt for the runners and a exclusive shirt for the workers of the race, which is really cool. The one for the workers was way cooler. It was the Betsy Ross style, and I'm sure everybody that got that thought, oh, is that off of the Nike controversy? This stuff is planned so far in advance, had nothing to do with that. But it kind of stinks when you see what they had on. Oh man, that looks way cooler. But basically, it was just it's a white shirt with like the bib on it, and that's literally it. And then that's all fine and good, but people were freaking out. Oh, they put the pins on there, ain't that? So what? Who cares?
Not really.
In a roundabout way, it kind of checked all the boxes that I wanted to have. I just wanted to have some, nod to the year. That's the number on the bib, and it had the 50th anniversary logo. So like, what I expected them to do going in was on there, but it's like that's probably the most basic and boring thing that you could have done. I went in thinking, well, this isn't even the 50th anniversary of them giving out the T-shirts, because that didn't start till the next year. But it became such a big deal. It's kind of like, I just thought, I went in thinking, oh, they're going to do something crazy, and that's it.
Hey, dang, no T-shirts is nothing but running up that mill.
And it's just one of those kind of my favorite one that uh, you can go back through the years. There's different ones that have looked better than others, but of the ones that I've got, my favorite one, it oddly enough, it's a white shirt, and I usually don't like the white shirts. Usually that's like, no, don't do that. But it's and that, I guess that's my other check mark. You gotta have some type of peach, something on it somewhere. But the my favorite one that I have is just the peach, and it's the sections of the peach are the street names that you pass.
That's
so
cool.
It's tough. I think it was like 2014 or 15. It's kind of tough to explain, and it makes sense. Like, what are you talking about? But it's the shape of it is a peach, and the street names, and the green is the start finish line, and so Google it and you'll see what I'm talking about.
That's pretty cool, man.
But that's the coolest one that they've done since I've been doing it. So it was just an excuse to shout the Peachy Road. She's 50.
50
50 years old.
50 years old.
I don't think I thought everybody was going to be doing that. I was the only one.
You stretched before you ran, right?
I was going
stretch, kick.
Just Google Molly Shannon SNL and you'll come across that somewhere down the line. And if you don't like it, then fine. You don't get it.
It's all good. So far, I've met 2 people currently on your screen that like that skit as much as we do, but somebody else out there likes that as much as we do because it's awesome.
I think the show's called Leg Up.
Awesome, man.
SNL Leg Up, and then you'll either be like, "That's awesome," or you'll be like me with the librarians. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Oh my god.
So, but that's pretty much all I've been doing. Is just for this holidays the peach tree and watching movies and Stranger Things, and that's pretty much all. All I've been good for.
Man, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've watched a lot of stuff lately. I've been really lucky lately. Like, just keep falling backwards, ticking boxes of old stuff that I wanted to see. And then the World Cup final was today, so I got to watch that. And then United got like basically the prime spot. MLS came on right after the World Cup was over, and it's Atlanta and New York, and it was excuse me. It's fun to hang out and watch soccer all day. And but yeah, I'm with you. That's how I did the weekend, man. I knew it was building up towards that, and to get there, it was just watching a bunch of like TV and movies and stuff like that, man. It was cool. It was good. I got some good stuff. And the World Cup final was great. I loved it. Atlanta, New York was a bit disappointing, only because all the like ref controversy and oh my god, late shenanigans and oh my goodness and 3-3 and woohoo. Every time we're on national TV, this is what it's like. It's always a big score line. There's some controversy. There's almost always VAR. Oh man, Atlanta got screwed. It's every time we're on national television. So it's like whenever you saw that Fox was going to be on, it's like it's a showcase. They're trying to show you entertainment because the final was awesome, but it's just that it's very interesting. It's hard to explain where women's soccer is right now because the U.S. still won, which is great because I like that team. I'm glad they won. But outside of the group stage, because the group stage there were a couple of walkovers and it's just you got killed. But man, once they got to the knockouts, it's like every game was competitive and fun, and it's like, man, you could just see like the strides that everybody's made to get caught up, and it's just. I shouldn't say that because it's not like nobody else ever wins it, but it's just like there were lots of somebody else's that looked like they had a shot this year, and it was cool. It was really good.
And I'm not sure how far back it was, number of games, but I remember that was some people were making that case going into the elimination round, and they had that game with Sweden. Like, well, should they tank to have an easier path to the championship?
Yeah.
Like, not against Sweden.
It was the third
not against the team that you're trying to settle a score with.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. I'm not wild about that anyway because it just feels like one of those things that media people talk about to have something to talk about. Because it's like, well, yeah, you lay down, let Sweden beat you, and then you don't have to play France so early. Well, it turned out to not matter. And also, dadgummit, like we're saying, man, round of 8, USA versus France. That was awesome. That was really good. I mean, I know it was early, but that's how it works in groups, man. It worked out fine.
Yeah.
It worked out all good. But it's just more of the same. And it was kind of one of those things where, like, because that Sweden did not play their frontline team with that logic in mind. Like, hey, if we finish second in the group, we're going to wind up in a better place to get where we want to get. And they were semi-finalists. I'm pretty sure that's who Netherlands beat to get to the final. So anyway, I didn't mean to get all sidetracked on that, but I'm not wild about that. Well, tank, you get an easier path. I don't know. Maybe, but that's like saying don't worry about the division, win the wild card. The wild card is an escape door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Nice if it's there and you need it, but don't play for it.
Yeah, don't go for it. Yeah, man, that's kind of where I was at too. I was happy they played the way they played, and it was just cool, man. And I'm happy they won, and it's very stupid why I'm so happy they won. But Jared, whenever we talk women's soccer, Jared unfortunately has had to listen to me complain about Hope Solo and the fame hound that is Hope Solo. And I mean, Hope's obviously she was a great player. But man, she's got that fame hangover, the same as Lana Donovan, where it's like, well, is Donovan going to come back to the U.S. men's national team? When's Donovan coming back? And it's like, God dang, I hope never.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very happy that we replaced her. And it's anytime they give up any goals, it's like, well, Hope Solo's she's right there, like looking down, and she can come back anytime. And I'm like, God, I hope not. So thank goodness they won. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah. Be done with you.
Yeah, man. I don't need all that. Crossover. I'm not big on it's weird because we talk about how successful basketball has been at turning pretty much everything their players do into entertainment. People want to know, like, geez, we can finish up on free agency if you like.
Oh, yeah.
But my goodness, it's like, it's unbelievable how they do that. At the same time, I'm not really big on that crossover entertainment. I love it when it's like, who's going to play where. That's really cool. But like, who Jimmy Butler's, which one of Jimmy Butler's teammates' girlfriend is he hooking up with now? Does freaking D'Angelo Russell still have a data package with his phone provider where he can make videos in the locker room because you might want to check that? I don't care about stuff like that. So that was my thing with Hope. Hope's a real good player, but that ain't why you know her name. It's not like she's the best thing that ever happened anywhere. It's that she's basically a character, a TMZ character, and so we love that. We can't wait to put those people out. So I'm happy that without her, they won everything. Also, a very cool note about Jill Ellis, the head coach, man. With her winning this year and going back to back, that's the first time a coach has repeated as World Cup champs. It's like 1938, man. I forgot the man's name. He's coached Italy, and he won in 34 and 38, and that's it. Because even if countries go back to back, that's 4 years. So there's a lot of
odds of doing that are not very good.
Yeah, a lot of turnover, and people are out, and I'm like, God dang, that's an awesome note, man. That's cool.
Awesome. Man, like most people, I went in. I did nothing but watch movies recently.
Yeah, man.
We could do. The most recent movie we both saw was Godzilla. Throw down on that.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
I like it.
I dug it. I skipped a lot of reviews specifically to go in not being skewed.
I like to go in fresh.
Yeah.
Frank Costanza style.
And as far as the character goes and the movies go, I don't have the knowledge of the movie history that some people claim to. And I think that's all it is. It's just a claim. Like, after a while, it's kind of like, come on, how many times can you watch this? But so I went into it, and I haven't even seen the one that came out 3 or 4 years ago, and dug the crap out of it.
Yeah,
because I guess that's what gets me there is the, Godzilla versus King Kong, the big event. It felt like this was one of the big event when we're bringing them all out, good brother.
Yeah, man.
Battle Royale style.
Yeah, man.
And I had the same kind of feeling that most everybody did. It's like, it's a really good movie. Just had a lot of these human characters in it that you do not give a crap about.
I completely agree.
Way too much of that.
Yeah.
It felt like there were several characters that, like, we could consolidate a bunch of these guys into just one storyline that kind of makes sense. And the deal with old Friday Night Lights homeboy, that I know a lot of people that just get head over, feet in love with the Friday Night Lights show. I never got it.
We'll discuss that in a moment.
But his whole storyline and with the family, like, man, I just don't buy this y'all didn't see this heel turn coming from before the credits started rolling. So, and him as being essentially, I guess he's the human hero of the movie. I just don't buy this for some reason.
My buddy Jeff Green wanted to see King of the Monsters for his birthday. This was weeks ago now. So we all went out and we watched King of the Monsters. And actually the night before we watched the Maximals versus Godzilla, which was cool just because I thought it was neat to see Wanda and Pietro hang out again because I like those guys. And I'm psychotic. If you've watched the show before, you know. And Jared, unfortunately, really knows because I won't let him. I can't go a day without mentioning it. I am a psychotic Elizabeth Olsen fan. I think she is awesome. And yes, because she plays Wanda, and I'm a huge Wanda fan, but I really like her. So it was cool to see her, and it was fine. And the first one was okay. Nothing wrong with it. It was okay. But Jeff's, immediately, before we even got out of the theater, that was Jeff's take, too. Is like, all the people stuff sucked, all the monster stuff was great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm with him, with everybody that felt that way, because it's just, the visual representation of the monsters was very, very cool. It's interesting. Me and my buddy Aaron were talking on the way home, and we were talking about Detective Pikachu, because he was like, kind of, not really sheepishly, but just sort of like, I don't want to admit that I want to see that, but I want to see that. And I'm like, dude, as soon as you see that preview and like see the rest of them, I totally get it. They look so cool. They did such a good job like putting them up there. It's like, whatever the story is, I don't care. I'm going to see pocket monsters on the screen. I'm like, man, I get that. I totally get that. And so Godzilla, same thing. They look awesome. Rodan was cool. I still say Ghidra because I'm with you. I don't know enough of all of the story to know what their real names should be. But man, they just look cool. Mothra was great. It was cool.
Yeah, Mothra and Godzilla being a tag team. Like, that's the way I like to think of it.
That's the way I want it to be. Yeah, I think that's cool.
And it just felt kind of, there was a real confusing part in the movie to me about they out of nowhere they check in with Miles Dyson for Terminator 2.
Then he dies immediately.
That's fitting.
And then Thanos shows up and wipes the complex out and he's dead.
He's going out to call to this Japanese doctor that you've seen earlier in the movie from at this other location, but you're like, wasn't she just on the ship flying back to revive Godzilla or something? Like, how did she get here that fast, and what sense does this make? That was one of the kind of really weird parts of the movie. And but the character you like the most is the doctor played by Kenny Watanabe. I think that's how you say his name. And he doesn't last.
Doesn't last.
He's another one that, well, we got to get him out of here. People might like him, but outside of that, it's like there's just so many of these characters, like the Thomas Middleditch character. It's like cameo after cameo. Bradley Whitford and Ice Cube's kid, and it just feels like there's a lot of these. And speaking of cameos, Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown.
That's my favorite one. Millie Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown.
We discovered earlier today that neither one of us can say her name without going into full-on Whitney impersonation, and we're like, yes. It's like, I don't think it surprised either one of us that we're both there, but man, it's nice knowing we're both there.
It's cameo after cameo of all these really good actors that you like have nothing to, except for Thomas Middleditch. All these really good actors that have nothing really good to do. Like, but you could have merged some of these stories into one. And, and even though the mother is like from, I think she was in one of The Departed.
That's so. This like stupid. This is so dumb. Because I was trying to remember her name in the movie, and I was like,
I can't remember your characters' names.
Dude, oh yeah, I don't remember the character name either. But it's just so stupid because I'm like, okay, how do I get this out of my brain? All right, man. It's not linoleum, but it's something like that. Well, it's like Formica, like the table. Yeah, Vera Formica, that's her name. It was stupid, but that's the jump. Whenever I see her, it's like, yeah. And she was in The Departed. She was also in Up in the Air, the Clooney, Jason Reitman. Good,
That's-
holy crap! If you guys haven't seen that movie,
that's the big one.
me too. Even
I think there was another one I couldn't remember.
yeah, it's like, man, if you have not seen that movie, I cannot recommend that you watch it enough. It is fantastic.
So she's hanging out the whole movie with the bad guy from Last Action Hero, and you're just kind of like, I just don't see how any of this is, you know. This isn't going to work.
That's the only reason you do it.
It's only going to do it. And so, but it's all building up to what, you know, I wanted to see.
Just Godzilla taking a dump.
It's Godzilla just crapping on all these other guys. And I was hoping that you would at least get the building towards the versus King Kong movie, which will probably end up being very much Freddy versus Jason style. Like, well, it'll be a versus that turns into a team up movie, or team up that turns into a versus, whichever.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a winner without everybody getting pissed off. I mean, we saw that with Civil War. We definitely saw it with Endgame. We're still seeing it with Endgame.
I just I sound like I didn't like it. I'm not trying to sound that like it. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Yeah, just people stuff, it's not a thing.
Yeah, but the idea of even like you have the other guys. Would it be safe to call them guy? They're not gaijin. That's Americans. But anyway, even the other monsters are like bowing down to the king, and I wanted
kaiju. That's what you're looking for. Yeah.
I wanted that scene to be where Kong shows and be like, my name is King, so I ain't bowing down to nobody. So, but anyway, maybe that's to come. And there's plenty of hints to it. There's hints to Skull Island, and there's even a little thing that goes across one of the computer screens. It's the X-ray of a huge Kong skull.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well this is happening.
Donkey Kong, cool.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. They're all bowing down, and this barrel comes flying in off screen.
Hey, there's to you.
Yeah, there's T. What's up, bro? Hey, special delivery, King BAAO for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. How about a king of beers? St. Louis, Missouri, baby.
So, if you're on the fence about going and checking it out, and by all means, go and check it out.
Yeah, man. If like big monster fight scenes, and really good looking ones too, because it really the presentation of the characters is awesome, man. Like Ghidorah looks incredibly cool. They all look cool. They were all good. So it's like, yeah, if it's, I can't imagine anybody wondering, man, you know what? I think that King of the Monsters would be interesting, but I'm interested in what's the human interest?
Yes.
What's the story? So it's like, if that, I can dig it.
What's going to be the spin on that?
Yeah, seriously. What's going on with the people?
Yeah, I'm down for that.
I don't want any people to be eaten.
I can get behind that.
I can get behind that. But yeah, it's like, if you're interested in like good CG, because I thought Godzilla was the worst looking of them, and he was fine. It was okay. And as far as him being kind of a chunky, hefty man, I like that better, especially when you get like the, excuse me, it's one of those things that we talk about all the time where I am a huge fan. I complain about it with WWE all the time, but it's WWE trying to do action movie stuff. I'm not a huge close-up guy. I like it when you can see what's going on, like Matrix-style fights. That's really the first place that really pulled it back, and it was like, hey, let's make it look like anime, where we're drawing it, so we want you to see what the heck's going on. Yeah. And then the other example I always use is that fight scene from Daredevil that everybody talks about, the little hallway fight scenes. They ain't kidding. That thing is slamming cool. It is so awesome. And so there's this one particular pullback when Godzilla and Ghidorah meet up with each other. I think it's Ghidorah. I think it's just got an O in the middle of it because they say it the proper way all the time. I'm the one that says it wrong all the time, but I've come too far. I can't change my ways. Yeah. But just the little silhouette shot, like them at the podium at the weigh-in, it's really, really cool. But it does show you how much bigger Ghidorah is. So it's like, yeah, if you want to add a little. If you want to add some Yasiel Puig arms to Trogdor, go ahead and do it. Yasiel Puig, the Reds apparently decided they were doing the sleeveless throwbacks for today's game, and man, Puig is like, I mean, you know he's the guy's huge. You can just tell by looking at him, but holy crap, man, him running around. Ted Klaczewski's ghost is hanging out in the locker room like, way to go, son. He's like, Big Clue's super proud.
20 ACC's a time bomb, dude.
Good brother. Put so many beefy arms on there.
So, again, I had a Millie Bobby Brown weekend, and like most people, I had to check out the Stranger Things season 3. And, it's fun. It's, you know, if you remotely liked the first 2, then you check this one out. And I think you'll like it just as much.
Sweet.
I dug the show. I was late to that party, but I didn't care. By the time I watched the first 2 seasons, they'd both been out for at least a year. So I didn't have to wait as long as everybody else did, but I feel like I did.
Still hurt.
Pretty,
It hurt.
pretty long gap between season 2 and 3. It felt like to me, but it's the kind of deal where, to me, Stranger Things season 2 was pretty much like the quintessential 80s sequels. Like, you like that one? Well, here it is again.
Let's make it again.
And it felt, at least as far as the endings goes, like, how many times can Eleven do this? How many times can she shut the portal again? And you get a little bit of a curveball on that with this one, which is fine.
Oh yeah, it's good when
she gets into the boss fight, but you know, through a series of events, it's kind of like, uh-oh, now the whole team's going to have to do it, not just one.
That's good, man, because for every 3 X-Men stories you read, Wolverine saved the day in 2 of them, but you need to switch that up the third time. You gotta throw him the curveball, Ricky.
Spin that wheel, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, man.
But that's how I felt with this season. It's like anything that wasn't involving the kids, I just really lost interest in real quick.
Yeah, the kids are the monsters from Godzilla.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. You know, I'm down with that storyline and what's going on there, but there's this storyline with Steve and his friend from the Scoops Ahoy are going to infiltrate this version of the Russians in town, and then Hopper and Winona Ryder's character are going to Winona Ryder's taking another person on a death mission
because that's what she do.
That's her jammy jam.
That's what Carol do. I don't know if that's her name or not. Seriously,
it'll work. But it just anything not involving the kids to me in this season. It's not only is it uninteresting. It's kind of like, this doesn't even make much sense to me at all. It just feels like, well, we got to give the other characters something to do.
Yeah, man. Like we're saying with the Wolverine thing, man. It can't be one note all the time. We got to stretch it out and we got to move it around. So I get it, but I'm just, if you give it some more thought and make it useful, that helps.
We don't have a Bob for Winona to hang out with, so we got to give her the other guy, and he's. The Hopper character in this whole season is such a shitheel. You're just kind of like, man, when what eventually ends up happening to him, you're kind of like, fine.
You're good.
We need somebody's got to go. So why not be this prick? and that's the main thing to say, because I was never into that character as much as everybody else was. So I don't mean to sound like it's somebody's got to go, and go in knowing that, but it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody.
It should have been Steve.
Yeah, it should.
Everybody wants Steve dead, but then Baskin Robbins can't run their 7 million commercials with him in them, so that wouldn't work.
Steve's the character that you end up coming the farthest with. It's like he's the one. He's the flip side to that coin, where when that character started, like, man, screw this dude, and then the more it goes on, like, I like him more and more the more I see him.
The people I know that like the show, Steve's their guy, man. Yeah. So it's like
Steve and Dustin hanging out is cool. Then he has his friend that looks like she could be Lady Gaga's sister that they're chilling with, and she's just as awesome as they are, but they give you this kind of swerve on her character. You're kind of like, man, it felt unnecessary. Like, what makes it unnecessary is it feels completely contradictory. Like, just a scene ago, she had totally different feelings for this dude. Now you're saying that she's this. Like, what's up? What's up with that? So I thought that was...
What's up with that?
What's up with that? Ooh, wee. So I thought that was kind of... It does a disservice to shoehorning in this gay character. You're kind of like, what? That wasn't the song she was singing just a scene ago. So it's kind of like, what?
Just be consistent.
Just silly when it comes to that. And I think that there's potential there for it to be something cool, nonetheless.
Yeah, as long as you leave that stuff like that. I've always had a big problem with. It's not a problem. It's not the right word. It's the dance it's the Will and Grace dance, which I thought Will and Grace actually did a pretty good job with this. But there were so many people I knew that watched that show and loved that show, and the ultimate goal was, well, I can't wait till the end when they get together, and it's like,
How could that be?
That's the stuff that drives me crazy. To be completely fair to like modern creators, people don't treat it this way anymore. But just this notion that, I don't know, it's just this overriding for a long, long time. Whenever you get gay characters, man, they are presented as hetero eye candy, and it's a phase. She'll grow out of it. So it's just this notion that Will's not bi. Will is gay 1,000%. So and again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm tripping on the show, because the show did right. Actually, I thought the way they got out of that was incredibly clever. It's real cool, because they wound up, like, apparently they wound
kids.
up. Yeah, they like fast forward to a college dorm somewhere, and it's their kids, and it's like, now that works. Everybody wins. So you've got like in-laws now. Who really, really, really love each other, and it's like, that's cool. But just that notion, there's so many people talking about, I just can't wait till Will and Grace get together, even if it's just for one episode. And it's like, that is just insulting as hell. I like it. I'm glad they did what they did.
I can't get down with that.
Yeah, seriously. So maybe I gotta watch. I've fallen way behind on my Stranger Things. So if it's presented that she's kind of macking on Steve because she's a kid and she's confused and doesn't want to get down with what she is, I mean, you can make it work. But I hope that's. I don't know. I'm just with you. It's like I think if you're going to write a character into a show that's gay, for the love of God, just bite hard, man. Just get it. Just commit, because it's like, don't do that.
Don't let that try to be some type of Russo-esque swerve, bro.
It doesn't need to be like that.
Just have her have been that the whole time.
Yeah.
And let it be what it is.
The best, like my favorite, well, the best one, in case there's anybody, well, I shouldn't use either one of them, because if anybody hasn't seen this and wants to watch it, it's a big deal. But I'm going to give one of them away. Now, the ultimate one I will not give away. It is, shocking is not the right word. It is just the most clever, strategically placed, holy crap moment I've ever seen in any TV show. And it's because it's very, very quiet. It's very subtle. If you blink, you miss it, and it never gets brought back up. It's fascinating. I'll save that. I'll tell you off camera, because it won't ruin nothing for you, because it's not something you want to see anyway. But my favorite same-sex reveal in anything I have ever seen is Omar Little from The Wire. Because the only way you find out is one day Omar walks down to the corner store and is trying to buy his Honey Nut Cheerios, and it's all good, and he goes back home, and his boyfriend wakes up, and they hang out and have breakfast and talk junk like a normal couple. Nobody says a thing. It's so cool, because no one, it's just like, I don't know, it's just such a cool and classy and neat way to do it, because it's just like, hey, this is Omar. This is just who Omar is. That's awesome. I thought that was so clever. Just to, like, no, man, this is just it.
It's not something, that you get beat over the head with in the show, but I'm surprised there aren't more people that have a problem with it, and maybe that's coming, 'cause it hasn't been out, it's just been a few days. The show's been I'm not a binge watcher, but I had to get my Netflix turned back on just to watch it, so I might keep it for a while, might not.
That's always a good idea.
Check it and see.
Just take a lap and see what else is out there. There's a lot of good crap on there, man. It's the thing, like, The Office is leaving, and people are having their meltdown over, what's the point of Netflix? Doesn't have The Office. And I'm like, man, if you really need someone to answer that question for you, we are on different planets, because Every single time Netflix original pops up, I'm like, oh, what's this? And like 8 times out of 10, I'm like, oh, this is going on the list. I'm watching this. So I love all that junk, man.
I love how, even to this day, as many trends as Netflix started and was ahead of, they're still being second guessed. And I think they love it that way. When Netflix was a company that had envelopes in Best Buy and everybody was laughing at them.
Yeah.
I thought, this is never going to work.
Oh, I worked at Blockbuster at the time, and the memos that we got from like corporate were absolutely hilarious.
Nobody's going to do this.
I remember I was like, they came by like just for a corporate meeting, and we're all like, okay, this is going to be like mail order. This isn't competition. And honest to God, me and a couple people I worked with were young and we were dicks, and our immediate reaction is like, then why are you here telling me about it? If it's not a big deal and you ain't worried about it, you would not acknowledge it. It's simple as that.
The only trend that I remember Blockbuster being a starter in was the rewards program. I remember that being, maybe somebody else did it first, but that's the one that I remember being the best. And
the Blockbuster rewards had that front-loaded thing where it was possible if you were renting enough movies, you honest to God could wind up pay for the ones you were getting, get the membership, and it would cost you less than to rent. And it wasn't very often. It was mostly people that rented older stuff. But honest to God, on that first shot, you got the one thing for free anyway, man. But then you could just one your way into like $10 for like 12 or 13 movies. It was great.
Yeah, every trend that came out since then, it felt like Blockbuster wasn't setting but following. Whether it was Redbox and they tried to do the Blue Box crap, that was when they were already on the way out.
Oh yeah.
They tried to do the mail order service not long after Netflix started and were behind the ball on that. But
I think the thing that killed them with that one, even worse than like Redbox, was GameFly.
Yeah.
Letting somebody beat you to the mail order video games. It's like, that should have been where you focused.
Yeah. But even to this day, this stuff comes up that Netflix gets kind of second guessed about. And like, they've got a track record.
Yeah, I think
of knowing that testing that air.
The genius of looking at television studios and realizing that that's what you want to do as far as like building it's the same thing. It's why Bill Simmons is still famous, because Bill Simmons went buck wild crazy telling ESPN, you have to make 30 for 30s every day. You got to make them because they're yours and you'll have them forever. And he's not wrong. He was actually right, because one of the biggest frustrations that I've got with watching old sports stuff is if you go to ESPN Classic or God knows the SEC network, you will never see anything old, because they'd have to buy the tape from CBS. So it's literally always, oh man, the best games in SEC history from 2017 forward. And it's like, we just saw this, man. Yeah. So you never get like, it's where the Big Ten Network absolutely kills them in their like historical, like documentary style programming. Is the Big Ten Network's like, we got to buy all of it anyway. We don't care. So they really put together some good things. But I wish the SEC Network would just sit. I wish they would make their programmers sit and watch the Big Ten Network for 72 hours straight and then just rip it off, because a lot of stuff that comes on BTN is really cool. On the SEC Network, it's Paul Feinbaum 8 hours a day, and oh, how much we love to eat Tuscaloosa. And it's like, y'all, this sucks. The thing is, with the Big Ten Network, they do a lot of like on-campus things about what makes the schools interesting, like the towns. Every college town's got something cool. Well, the SEC is chock full of incredible college towns. Go and talk about traditions and like places to go eat. And, there's so much cool stuff they could be doing, and they just let it sit there. And it's like, well, that's what happens when a Connecticut company decides, we can make some money off the Confederacy, but they don't actually care. It's very frustrating, man. They tick me off, obviously. But back to your point. Netflix original. First thing they did was buy up every comedy special known to man, and it's like, hey, you don't need to do Showtime or HBO anymore. Come to us. And boy, everybody said yes. Oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden it became this haven of like mostly like actors in the beginning that wanted this. Is like, okay, if you've been interested in starting like production companies and you need a place to peddle your stuff, hey man, the fact that we own it means you can do pretty much whatever you want to, because we need content. So it's just so much good stuff out there, and it's a lot of it. It's very neat when you find out. Like I watched, I'm gonna say it wrong because there's two. There's one show called AO, and there's one called IO, and it's hard for me to keep them straight. AO was the one with the sexy breakdance fighting, and it's much better than I make it sound. It's really interesting. It drags a little bit in the first season, but it's such a unique and weird thing whenever they get to like just the, I say breakdance fighting, but it really is. It's like this weird thing where interpretive dance is like this magical key to unlocking the afterlife, and it just gives everybody superpowers. And it sounds crazy, except that you can just tell that whoever wrote it, this is the crap they're into, like afterlife and science fiction and interpretive dance. And I'm like, well, go on, man, do your thing. It was cool. It's such a neat and weird thing. It's like, this is cool. And I haven't watched the second season yet, so it might not be that way at all. But then there's one that's IO. And IO is like a post-apocalyptic thing where the world has ended. It's basically WALL-E, where one girl and her dad stay behind because they're trying to, like, restabilize the atmosphere enough for... They do it with honeybees. They're trying to, like, keep honeybees alive. And it's like, hey, man, there's still life on Earth, man. You guys, everybody's gone now to, like, colonies on the moons of Jupiter, but we're going to prove that you can come back here if you want to. And then it just all turns to crap, and she's got to get off. But this visitor comes from the sky, and he's one of the last people on Earth. They got to get off Earth now, man. And it's freaking Anthony Mackie, the Falcon from the Avengers stuff. It's good old Sam Wilson. Yeah. And it's a long way to tell you that when it gets to the EPs, he's one of them. It's just like, it's really a neat landing spot for like pet projects, or like, you know who I'd like to play? Like, for example, if for Pete's sake, man, Rhodey, Don Cheadle was still trying to do Miles Davis. Yeah. I cannot imagine that Netflix wouldn't greenlight that thing yesterday. Yeah. That's a great movie. I talk about it all the time. Miles Ahead. Great, unbelievable, fantastic, singular vision of the biopic. I love it. But that kind of stuff is cool. That's my favorite thing about Netflix, is that people have an avenue for that stuff. Amy Poehler with frickin' Russian Doll, which she's not even in, by the way. But it was her and Natasha Lyonne, and it's like, wow, this is a cool story. Let's get this made exactly the way we want to. And Netflix does the South Park thing where they're like, hey, thanks for calling Netflix for your greenlit. I love it.
I just don't think that some of these big license stuff that cost them a lot of money is the end all that people think it's going to be. And you need to mix it up.
It's completely
There's only
true.
so much stuff that you can have on there that just going to clog everything down. And at the same time, you would think that at some point, I always thought that Hulu and Universal were one and the same.
Me too, brother.
But I guess the NBC Universal app will be their Disney way of they're eventually going to call that stuff home, to where, that means Friends and The Office are gone. But
I thought
by that point you'll have enough Netflix original stuff, or they'll have replaced it with something that you're going to want to see.
I thought that was the case with Friends to begin with, when they got that one last huge paycheck. It's like, oh, thank God they paid $100 million to keep Friends for a year. And it's like, y'all better get ready for this not being around. There is no way. But it's just $100 million. It's not going to be $100 million next time. It's $100 million this time. It's like, no. That's out. That's gone. Bye. But it don't matter, because I'm totally with you. It's like you did kind of the thing that HBO did, where you run these movies and it's all good. But HBO's in the spot now where if they never ran another movie again, they're fine. Yeah. And Netflix will get there too eventually. In the meantime, that's the coolest thing, is like creative folks that want to make their stuff. Greenlight them. Don't hamstring them, and don't do the producer thing where it's over and over again. Hey, do my kid a favor and put my second cousin in this thing, and this chick's hot. Put her in there because I'm trying to get myself a little bit. Yeah. You don't have that stuff. It's the same. I watched. I was telling Jared, this movie I've been meaning to watch forever. It's called Clouds of Sils Maria. Clouds of Sils Maria. Maria is the easiest thing to say in the whole name of the town, and I get it wrong every time. And it's freaking awesome, but it's one of those things. I love watching foreign movies, and this one is, it's multilingual. It's primarily English, though, but it's got a little French in it. It's got a little, I think, a little Italian, maybe some Swiss. Lots of languages in there. Anyway, it does that thing that all great foreign movies that I love do, and when it comes on, it's all just blank screen, and it's cool. When it starts listing production companies, there's like 27 of them. Yeah. I love that, because it's not so much money from one source that they get to call the shots. That's the entire point, is all these companies that want to be involved in the arts throw in just enough to where you can get your movie made, but not so much that just enough for them to get a credit.
You have a vested interest.
Absolutely, but not so much they get to tell you what to do. I'm like, oh, I love this. This is so cool.
It's talking about the foresight that a company like Netflix and others have had is I remember being in a class one time, and that's one of the it's kind of like the underpants stones in South Park. It's like we've got this idea, big question mark, huge profit.
Profit.
It's just how do we get to that?
That
And I remember being in a class when I remember the teacher saying like, at some point in time, you're not going to have to be at your house at 8 o'clock on this night to see this show. It's just and this is years and years ago, where this I'm showing my age. Where at that point, Netflix and all these streaming services didn't exist. Just I think they were in the works of it existing to say, you know, we didn't know how to do it, but they did. It's like we know that's going to get to that point where you don't have to be home at any certain time. There was a time, you know, when I was growing up, if you didn't see it at 8 o'clock on Thursday, it was gone forever. There wasn't even DVDs yet. And so they leapfrogged all that to where, you know, you can watch it anytime, all the time. And I kind of thought maybe that something they would get away from is dropping everything all at once, but that's become such par for the course and the custom thing that I think that, you know, you can't go back on that now.
Yeah, I think so too.
But it's cool.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate where you're coming from with parsing them out, because I thought the same thing, but it's like it's become such a good selling point now. It's like, we don't care. We'll finish up, chop the thing, put it out, watch it whenever you want to. I like that. It reminds me, honestly, the business model that you just described, what I always think of with the Underpants Gnomes. And I trip on this guy all the time because all the things he gets his ass kissed for, and he's a genius. I don't think he is. But as far as foresight and vision in terms of the way the television game is going to be played, this is something I've always appreciated about Vince McMahon. Because Vince started buying up tape libraries way before he knew what he was going to do with them. And it's not like it was a home video thing, because where you go on the network now and you can watch Mid-South and you can watch World Class and you can watch all these other companies' stuff, it's not like Vince was pumping out DVDs. He did for like the best of comps. But you're not buying a territory for
You're not going to buy like a season's worth of
exactly
this company or that company.
You ain't buying everything just to put out a greatest hits. And that was years away before anything like streaming existed. But Flair used to talk about it all the time. Flair talked about it all the time with 24/7 when they first started trying to do it, and then they turned it over to the network. And it's like that's smart. That's what you're doing.
The better way to do it.
Yeah, and it's one of the things. It's one of the. I don't know. People never talk about this ever. Because it's always just, well, AEW can't compete. AEW can't get with Vince. AEW's got nothing on Vince. And it's like the one regard that is 10,000% true is the library. Because all the stuff the Bucks and Cody did to Ring of Honor, guess who owns that? All the stuff they did in New Japan, that's on New Japan World. Those companies have streaming services because freaking Ring of Honor's been around for 20 years now. So it's the one thing that it's going to take some time. And when you get there, it's great. But that is the huge gulf right now, is the back catalog, man. Because, I mean, that's people whine all the time about, they haven't even done a show yet. And it's like, you can't go watch old stuff because there ain't no old stuff. But they'll get there, and that's cool. But I just, having that back catalog, having stuff that's yours, having things that you own, that's very cool. I'm with you. I'm super happy they got into that because Netflix is so much fun, but I'm with you. So I just, honest to God, if they wiped their inventory of everything except crap they've made, shoot, I'd be busy for a long time. I'd still be busy for a long time. So we good.
So that's my, long and short of it. I just feel like, as far as the Stranger Things goes, I mean, it's definitely worth the check out. And I'm kind of wondering. It feels like there's a little bit of a. There probably won't be as much of a gap between seasons. I don't know if they did a 1-for-1, or 1-for-1, a film 2 and 2-for-1. It seems like you would have heard that if they had done that, but I don't. If they're wanting to keep this cast together before they get any older, I mean, you got to start busting these out because I mean, you just. Millie Bobby Brown. Alone, she's going to be moving on to bigger and better soon.
Yeah, that was our thing about Hopper. Was like he's getting movie roles now.
Yeah, so you got to. Yeah.
And it's as far as not like locking people in and holding them hostage. That's one of those things where Netflix probably has an advantage on HBO because people talk all the time about, man, Game of Thrones just turned to crap by the time it was over, and it's like those kids are ready to go make movies. You will never get paid. I shouldn't say never. That's a long time. I cannot imagine TV ever paying like movies does. It just, I mean, the kids on Friends got that money.
Level.
The kids on Friends got that money for a reason, and so it's like, no, that's a one-off thing. That's not going to happen again. So when people get the opportunity to do movies, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's all good, man. I hope they get. I'm just with you. The man nailed it earlier, because this is something I've thought about with like 24 forever. I thought the biggest mistake with 24, which is really not my style of show anyway, but it's a neat concept. It's a very cool idea to do a real-time story, and your season is the day, and that's very, very cool. But why's it got to be Jack Bauer every time?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the man was saying earlier about Stranger Things. It's Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Even with something called like Castle Rock, it's the same town, but it ain't the same people. So with something that's called Stranger Things, you don't even have to keep the same setting. You can totally move around and just do different stories, and that would be awesome.
That's I thought was implied with you know, just change it up, go different town, and just make it kind of like the original plan for the Halloween movies was never meant to be everything Michael Myers all the time.
All the time, yeah. The one that everybody hates so much. It's like, that was the original plan, was to move around
and do other stories.
Yeah, Halloween's creepy every year,
but they got in it pretty quick. So, but it might be something that they're forced to do with you know, these kids are going to be hitting growth spurts quick.
Yeah, man.
And you know, if you're wanting to do
Puberty Nuke, that's a good name for a band.
Oh, yeah.
Puberty Nuke.
if the plan is to do that kind of story, just have them age as they go. I mean, I don't know. It's still, the fact still remains that they're not going to be available to do that, because just the Millie Bobby Brown alone, she's not going to be gettable from the movies. So I mean, get me while I'm good, bro.
Yeah, I like Stranger Things being a launching pad for everybody. I do like the idea of them switching up and changing the characters, and it's one of those things where if you do it early, people are more in line with it. It's very strange. It reminds me, this is funky, but I think I can make it make sense. It reminds me of these guys right here, where when the new uniforms came out, I don't hate them. Some people hated them. I don't hate them. Now, I will say, United 2 out in Kennesaw, man, their uniforms, that is exactly, I mean, quite literally, when I put pen to paper and drew what I thought they should look like, that was them. The only difference is I've still kept 5 stripes on it, but they're perfect. But anyway, the nickname of the team is the 5 Stripes. And I'm not suggesting that 5 should be literal on the jersey every year. I just like that it was. I thought that was kind of cool. That's cool, man. But at the same time, this is your 3rd year now, and getting back out there. So you know what? The first time you change the home uniform, if you make it 5 again, now it's a tradition. And now if you try to change it, people really will freak out. And it's like, it probably was a good idea to just do stripes, because now it's like, no, it's not literal. It just means the badge itself. That's all we were talking about. So maybe doing it early is smarter. Like, again, if we had done season 1 of Stranger Things, which is the only one I've seen, because I love the ending of it. Like, that's cool. You can end that story right there. That's neat. And then whatever the second one is, come on back. And you can do it. You can always change it up, but it might have been easier at the time. And it sounds kind of cruddy, because now I'm like taking money away from these kids, man. And I like those kids, so good for them. But
they keep to the tradition of actors that did iconic roles in the 80s will come back, and we're going to we'll probably kill them, but we're going to bring in these actors that we love and get that shine, and we're going to kill the shit out of them.
The Heather Langenkamp shine.
Yeah, we're going to kill them.
Put them over, Heather.
And so you have they keep that tradition going, but
yeah.
they don't kill the guy, but Carrie Elway's Wesley from Princess Bride is they try to make him the bad guy, but next to Hopper, it's kind of like I think he's pretty much your heel this season. But but Carrie Elways is one of those actors that he can turn on a dime so quick that 1 minute and he can play that lovable character like, oh, it's Wesley, and the next minute like, why don't you die?
I think Wesley should die.
It's like the meter starts at Wesley from The Princess Bride and ends at, Russ Wheeler from Days of Thunder. It's like, oh man, that's a big gap.
Seriously,
Like,
man.
I hate that dude,
Gosh,
but I love him.
But I love that guy, but I
I
hate him.
hate that dude.
Man, one of my favorite roles of his of all time. This is so stupid, but he was at like a little, I don't know what the word is, man. It wasn't a meet and greet. It's not like we're all sitting there waiting to get his autograph. He was doing a panel at Dragon Con.
Yeah,
Where he's just talking and answering questions.
The
And,
Dragon Convention.
Yeah, Dragon Con's so much fun. I hate that. I hate that I will never go again. I just, we decided years ago, man, they should do one in the winter and call it Con 2. You know, Dragon 2: The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
And like, that's totally what they should do,
Yeah.
because I go in the winter. But anyway, he's just sitting there chilling, answering questions, and I had a question I really wanted to ask him, but I did not do it, because pretty much it's one of those read the room situations, and I don't think anyone would have minded if you asked him about something other in his career. The people were pretty much there to talk to him about Princess Bride, and why can't I remember what the other thing folks were asking?
Saw, what was probably a big one?
I just do not remember, man. That sucks. But Princess Bride was the huge one, so that's
Yeah.
Oh, Men in Tights. That's what it was.
Oh,
And I just thought of like, and that, hopefully that's on YouTube somewhere. If you type in Carrie L's Men in Tights Dragon Con, it should come up, because somebody in the audience asked him to sing the song, and he starts to do it, and he kind of stumbles on the lyrics, and I mean, in one of those moments that you would swear to God it was orchestrated unless you were there. There was a kid that had gone to Dragon Con as Robin of Locksley from Men in Tights. So he's in the room, full costume, and he's just totally like, here's my moment. And he grabbed the hell out of that sucker, jumped up, starts singing the song, and Carrie calls him up on stage, and they're like totally, it was great. It was so good, man. I actually got to talk to that kid after the thing. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, man, I don't even know you. But God, that's so cool. That had to be so. That had to feel so good. It had to be so. It had to feel so good that if you're adjacent to it, it makes you feel good. It was awesome. That was so cool. But I wanted to ask him about Credible Rock. Credible Rock is one of the most underrated movies I've ever seen. It is fantastic, and in that movie, he is playing literally John Houseman.
All right.
That is who he plays. So here in Carrie Ellis do the John Houseman voice the whole time. It's awesome, because basically, oh, I can't believe I forgot his name. I always want to say it's the guy. I always want to say it's Liev Schreiber, and it is not. It's not him. I just always get him confused. Hopefully, it'll come back to me before we're done here. But dadgummit, sorry y'all. But anyway, the other dude that I'm trying to think of now. Oh, Angus McFadden. That's his name. Angus McFadden is playing young theater director Orson Welles. Carrie Ellis is playing young theater producer John Houseman. It's awesome. It is so. That's such a cool movie, man. Excuse me. And that's what I wanted to ask him about. It's like, man, I don't mean to break the '80s vibe, man, but please tell me that Credible Rock was as much fun as it looked like it was, because that's an awesome movie, and you were great.
What I do in that?
Yeah, for real. What are you talking about?
What was that?
I don't remember that movie.
What do we do?
Yeah, for real.
What'd they do?
He's like writing this note the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about, man. And he folds it up, and like, it gets passed back to me, just like,
Save me.
ask me later. I'll talk about '90s and 2000s stuff, but not here.
I can't go out on that.
Read the room, moron. For real, you're gonna get me killed. Ask about Buttercup.
So is rubbing racing? Your thoughts?
It rubbing has to be racing, man, because Cold Trickle and Ratty Burn said so. Well, I don't think I'm in much of a position to say rubbing ain't racing, because Ratty Burn said it was.
My God.
That's right, gonna kill it.
So, that's all I pretty much got to throw down about.
Man, we cool. I will recap on this one thing real quick, that we talked a little bit about free agency last week, and now free agency has just gone off the rails, and it is it's disclosure time. First of all, now that it's officially done, it's very, very cool, because DeAndre Hunter and Bernardo Fernando, I think it's Bernardo, no, it's Bruno Fernando, Bernardo Fernando, the Angolan kid that we got from Maryland that I'm ecstatic about, and I just can't remember his name. His initials are BF, and both of his names end in O. Fernando. They were officially Hawks. They got their numbers today. Everything is cool. It's done. And we knew it was going to be, but it's still exciting that it's done. So I'm thrilled for the Hawks. I love what we've done this offseason. The disclosure part comes in that I probably have mentioned this before, but I don't know how many of these shows y'all have seen. So here we go. We'll pretend this is the first one. Showtime 87 is that's where I cut my teeth on basketball. Larry in the Big Three against Magic and Showtime in 1987. I was a little kid. I loved it. I've loved it ever since. And in particular, recently, basketball has just become out of control my favorite sport. I love it. It's my favorite thing, obviously, because I get up here and talk about free agency. So I have a soft spot for the Lakers. I have an incredibly soft spot for that kid from Akron, because I remember the first time I ever saw LeBron James. He's this 18-year-old kid, and he's doing his thing, and ESPN's got him on TV, which I cannot stand when ESPN puts high school kids on TV. It's bad enough you make money off college kids that don't get paid. Now you're making money off minors that don't get paid. It drives me nuts. The Little League World Series is a disaster. I can't stand it. They should take all that advertising money and put it in a college fund, and until they do that, I don't have any time for it, because that's crap. It's bad enough that you get the college kids for free, but I don't like it. Anyhow. Yeah, it's not my thing. I don't care for it. So anyhow, the short version is that I actually have an affinity for the Lakers. I really like them. I really like LeBron, especially, the point about LeBron is the first time I ever saw him with that 23 on his chest. I'm like, he is never going to live that down. He is never going to live it down. I wish he'd change that. I wish he wouldn't wear 23, because it just invites ridiculous comparisons, because nobody's ever going to be Michael. And again, with LeBron, ain't nobody going to be LeBron either. Yeah. Because here's the long and the short of it. Whichever one of them you think is a better player, that's fine. Whichever one of them you think has more skill, that's fine. You can talk that stuff all day. But at the end of the day, Jordan is not Jordan because of the way he played. Jordan is Jordan because he was the face of the league becoming a global presence. 92, Barcelona, the first super team. So much, so super, in fact, they had to call it a dream. Yeah. That was the commercial that got the rest of the world 1,000% on board with association basketball. That's how they did it. It worked. Michael built that stage. LeBron's the one trotting it. Yeah. It's literally how it works. I know, Michael, oh God, Michael. Look, until they start making clones or having holograms show up on the court, you're going to have to realize these are human beings and they can't play forever. LeBron's the guy now. I just wish he hadn't had that stupid-ass number, because the thing about LeBron is LeBron has been Magic Johnson scoring 25 a night his whole career. He has always had more in common with Magic than Michael. You already got your Michael clone. His name was Kobe, and he was great. So, anyhow, getting way afield. I'm basically setting it up to explain that all this talk about getting Kawhi to the Los Angeles Lakers, I got no problem with it. I don't want to say I was excited about it. I just thought it was like, it is too much. I mean, as far as like overpowering, and it's too much. But oh my goodness. We talked about it last week that I was so disappointed for the Clippers, because they were supposed to be in on everybody. And then no one was going. No one was going to go there. Just then Kawhi picks up a phone, calls Paul George and says, hey, force a trade, let's go. Yeah. It's, for basketball, top to bottom, it is the coolest thing that possibly could have happened. Because that team made the playoffs last year, but not one of those guys. That team traded Chris Paul a few years back, Blake Griffin last year, and Doc still got him in the playoffs. That's the other thing, too, is Doc was my favorite player when I was a kid as far as Atlanta guys go. So I liked when he won in Boston. I've always wanted him to win in Los Angeles. It's fantastic, man. It's so good for the league to have all these dynamic duos everywhere, because they're everywhere now, man. You've got a couple that are hangovers, like Lillard and McCollum in Portland. You've got just down the coast, man. Then you get to California, and in the north, you've still got Clay and, for Pete's sake, Steph. I always want to say Clay and Trey, because I want Klay Thompson to come to Atlanta so bad. I want the Clay and Trey backcourt. But Clay and Steph, and I know Clay's out, but he'll be back. That's all good. And that's actually still a big three, because they got Draymond, too. And Draymond Green is that guy that he's one of those guys that if he plays for your team, he's your favorite player, because that guy does everything right. The only thing that gets Draymond in trouble is his temper. He gets mad every now and again, but he's great. And if you love him, if he plays for your team. You don't play for my team, but I still love him. Anyway, you've got dynamic duos in both locker rooms in L.A. You've got, like, Young Bucks, if you want to get all kooky, man. Like, we got a great tag team here, and that's the guys just from the last 2 years, not even including the new guys coming in, man. In Philly, you got Simmons and Embiid, and also Al Horford's going to be a big get for them. That's the only downside I have with Kawhi leaving Toronto. I say downside. It's going to be one way or the other. I will say it on behalf of the Philadelphia 76ers. This is it. Yeah. This is your shot. This is your shot. Either do it now or just shut up about how great Embiid is. But I do think that re-signing Tobias Harris was a very good decision. Butler, you know what? Hey, man, he got offered a lot of money to go to Miami. It would not take a whole lot of cash to convince me to move to Miami. It just wouldn't. Anytime anybody goes to play any sport in Miami, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I can't be mad at nobody. But anyway, there's dynamic duos all over the league, and thank God, because it was going to be Golden State 2.0 if Kawhi joined the Lakers. And selfishly, I would have dug it. But honest to God, as a basketball fan, front to back, top to bottom, inside and out, I like this so much better. I cannot tell you how happy I am with the way that stuff shook out. It's just awesome. And then on top of that, once Draymond leaves Toronto, Danny Green leaves Toronto too. But Danny is going to the other locker room in LA, and it's the same thing as it ever was with the Lakers. As soon as they get a guy, as soon as a guy leaves, he immediately starts getting blown up. D'Angelo Russell got turned into like an all-world Jesus Christ, oh my God guy as soon as he left the Lakers, just like they're going to do with Lonzo Ball. Lonzo can go to New Orleans, have the exact same season he had last year, and you will hear him getting buttered up all season, which I'm actually okay with because I think Lonzo's an excellent player. Defensively, the guy's unreal. Ben Simmons and Lonzo Ball have a lot in common, except that Ben, it is constant praise, and he never ever gets called out for nothing, and Lonzo can't do anything right. And they're actually really similar players. They're very, very good as the tip of the spear running the point. They're really good defensively. Lonzo every now and again will hit you a three. Ben Simmons won't even take one. But still, it frustrates me. But this is it. Philly, y'all got to make your move right now. And losing JJ is a big deal, too. And I wonder if Redick doesn't wind up because that Laker roster is good. That Clipper roster is good. It's, man, just Battle of Los Angeles alone. And it's so weird because we talked about this 1,000 years ago. I was talking about the KD and Kawhi possibly going to the Clippers. Man, I would have loved that. Just the idea of LA basketball being this hot and the league being a little spread out now, and you've got people always whine about super teams, but it's like that's the way of the world. The Dream Team made that the way of the world. They saw how profitable that was. It's a lot like you have to look at the NBA like a Champions League situation, where the Champions League is all the European champions of soccer, but only about 4 of them have a chance to actually win. We did the super team era, and now it looks like we're trying to spread those resources out, maybe even just a little bit more, but a little bit more. Oh, man, it's awesome. It's so weird because the idea of Kawhi not going to the Lakers should bum me out, but I cannot overstate how much better I think it is for the league, and also very selfishly how happy I am for Doc, man. It's awesome. I'm so happy. That's it. That was it, man. Oh, and just last note on the World Cup. It really was extraordinary. I hope everybody that watched it enjoyed it. I hope everybody that watched it is enjoying. I might have said this earlier. I know I told you off camera. It's just important, so I'm gonna say it again. The group stage, there were some Heine kickings, no doubt. But man, once it got to that knockout phase, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the U.S. was on the ropes. They weren't. We're the best team in the world, but it's just the gap is getting smaller, and that is so good. And I like it. I also like the fact that the defending champion of Europe can come in as a not even 9 seed, but ranked number 9, beat their great rivals Germany along the way, and make the final. That's the defending champions of Europe, and they're 9th. There's a lot of talent, a lot of good stuff going around, so it's cool.
Right.
That's it.
That's what's up.
Have a good one, y'all.
All right.